And we're live.
On your Twitch stream?
Yep.
All right. The one that it still says offline here.
Give it a second.
It says your Twitch machine got unplugged. Error code 2000.
Nope, we're live.
Oh, wow. This looks a lot like The Walking Dead or some kind of TV show. It might just be another advertisement.
Anyway, so you want to get started?
I would love nothing more.
Alright, well, hello and welcome to...
Wait, we're streaming audio too, right?
Yeah.
Or, recording it?
Yeah.
Alright, so let me just start recording mine.
Oh no, I'm recording both.
Okay, so I don't need to record anything.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll close out of Audacity then. We're keeping this in the show, by the way. I think this would be a hilarious start.
Oh, yeah.
Technical difficulties. Live in person. I'll close out. Pulling up the Google Doc. And we have music. No, I'm kidding. All right. Let's roll.
All right, so yeah, hello.
Hello?
And you dropped... Okay, you're back.
Oh, damn it. What did I drop now?
Aside from technical difficulties, hello and welcome to In the Tunnel. My name is Sean.
I'm Jeremy.
And today is How Do We Stream Edition, because it's the first time we're streaming our podcast.
Hey, how's our stream look? Is it a strong stream, weak stream, and something in between? Tell us what we want to hear. We're very self-conscious. But we are not here to talk streaming all day. We're here to stream and talk sports because we are multi-talented people.
Are we now?
Oh, absolutely. From 9 to 6, we do something else, and then after that, we do this. I think that's the definition of multi-talented.
All right, so yeah, let's just jump straight into it then, I guess. So the MLB playoffs are going on, AL and NLCS, right? So start with the AL. Houston and Boston have been going at it. Boston has home field advantage, but they split the series so far, with Houston taking Game 1 and Boston taking Game 2.
Let me ask you real quick about how many minutes of either of these games have you watched?
I watched the first inning and the second inning of Game 2.
All right, so this dude's obviously doing his homework, because I did not know that the Red Sox were even playing last night until they were talking about it during the Patriots game.
What?
Hey, man. It's
Come
CMLB. It's CMLB. There's 162 games, and then I have to keep track of even more of them.
I mean, you don't really have to keep track of most of the 162 games like we've talked about in our previous podcast.
I guess that's true. What did I spend all my summer doing then?
Something else, like working.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, Houston took Game 1 7-2. Again, they started the series in Boston. Then they lost Game 2 7-5. So, I don't know. I think Game 2 was really close, just because both teams got off to like a early start, with Boston getting 2 runs in the first and Houston getting 2 runs in the second.
Now, I might be wrong. Did David Price start the game for Boston?
David Price started Game 2, yes.
Okay. So, amazingly, the Red Sox got a win. That maybe in the future they don't throw like the worst playoff pitcher of all time in their home field advantage games.
Yeah, but hey, like I don't think that you have another choice but to put Price there. What are you going to make him start Game 3 in Houston?
I mean, if he's gonna not last that long anyway, then yeah,
I
on
mean,
a you keep him on a short leash. If he gives up like 4 in the first 3 innings, you pull him, but you give yourself enough time to rebound with someone else on the mound.
I can agree, but then I don't see who else you're gonna start. I mean, you have to start Price, no matter his like previous encounters with the playoffs. If you don't start him, you're giving your like at least one of the games. You're giving your team not the best that it could be, and
I,
he
I
has to get
guess.
over his playoff thing at some point.
I guess. For me, the thing is just like you either gotta throw him in game one, or and like get that if he's gonna lose, get that loss out of the way right away. Still have your home field advantage to rally. Because the thing is like if he gave up like 8 runs at home, then it doesn't matter how much time is left there. Or not how much time, but like the rally, you want it to be in striking distance and have a rally chance at home where the fans can get behind it. I don't see it happening
Yeah,
if Price gives up big numbers.
but you also, if you subject him to the away team and he does the same thing, it's just going to beat on him more because the Houston then in games 3 or 4 would just take that energy and run with it.
True. But the other reason why maybe you put Price in game one is you give the other guys in the rotation extra rest. So even though Price started game two, if someone else started the game two, swap places with Price and he got game one, then like going deeper in the other 3 games is more likely, and you give more time to relievers if you can split the second game like they did and have like some rest days in between.
Okay, but I mean, that still doesn't get you around starting Price.
It doesn't. I'm just trying to minimize the damage, minimize how much Price we have to be exposed to.
I mean, you're acting like being exposed to Price is a bad thing.
I mean, if you're the other team, then by all means not.
Exactly.
Well, he was like 0-10 in the playoffs, dude.
Yeah, so if you're rooting against Boston, then Price is great and keep starting him.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Teams just keep force feeding him money. I don't know. It's weird because, like, obviously you gotta pay the dude for what he does in the regulars, but what you get in the postseason is just something really, really weird.
But at the same time, like, this second game wasn't terrible. Like, if you saw the second game, the first period, like, Houston's pitcher, I forget who pitched that game, unfortunately, but
I think it was Cole.
yeah, Cole. He gave up 2 runs and almost the number of pitches was so high for the first inning. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, that sounds like Garrett Cole. I mean, it sounds like Pirates Garrett Cole. I can't tell you about Houston Garrett Cole.
Well, I mean, he came from the Pirates this year, so
Yeah. I mean, but obviously an all-star this year after not being an all-star for the last, like, 2-3 years. So there's something different.
I mean, I guess so.
I don't know. It's just weird to think that it's not a risk to throw Price in there. Like, I know you have to, but
You have to.
do you have to put him in for 6 innings?
I mean,
I don't
you're
think
telling
they
me you'd
did,
pull him
but-
at 5 or 4?
Yeah.
Why? Unless he's showing signs that he's not gonna make it and gonna give up too many runs.
But he's done that every time.
But like, let him try to work out of situations. It's not like, oh, he gives up a double, don't pull him out. Like, sure, he's done that, but you can't just take him out after 4 innings without giving him a chance, unless he has an abnormally high pitch count.
I
Like,
guess.
I see, like, taking him out after putting him in the fourth inning, and then he maybe gives up, like, a bad, like, he doesn't control his pitch properly, gives up a bad walk or a bad hit that
Hmm.
he totally should have, like, pitched around or whatever. Then,
Yeah.
sure, take him out. But if he's not doing that, you can't just pull him out for no reason.
Okay. So I don't know how big of a contract price is on. Let's say it's somewhere north of $150 million. Given his playoff success, is that too much money for him? Because again,
I
like I
mean,
said earlier, you have to weigh you obviously weigh more the regular season performances, but some of that money
yeah,
probably is going towards having a reliable pitcher in the playoffs too.
but also the only way you get to the playoffs is through the regular season, and the only reason we're talking about his abysmal playoff performances is because of his amazing, consistent regular seasons that get him there.
That's true. All right, I give in. You win. You're 1-0 in this episode.
Damn, I don't know. All right, so nationally,
That was a weird transition, but let's do it.
let's do it. Okay,
If my
nationally,
computer will let me scroll.
Dodgers at Milwaukee having home field. Milwaukee took the first game 6-5, and Dodgers took the second game 4-3. So they split going into LA.
So I'm okay with this being a split, but what comes to my attention is obviously Dodgers, Rockies, two very different teams. But last series, Milwaukee gave up like 2 runs in all 3 games.
Yeah,
Giving
but they
up
were
8 runs in the first 2.
yeah, but they were facing a completely different team in the Dodgers than
I'm just saying, is the bullpen kind of losing a step?
I don't know, but I just think that the Rockies are a completely different team than the Dodgers. You
Yeah,
because
absolutely. But
they're facing different hitters that can do different things. Like the Rockies had no chance. They're just outclassed in every way.
yeah, but I don't think of the Rockies as a pitching team. I think of them as a hitting team.
Yeah, but still, like even as a hitting team, I don't think that they had a chance against the Brewers. Like the Brewers pitching was just better
Mm-hmm.
than the Rockies hitting could keep up with. And
No, you're right.
like I just think that the Dodgers hitting is above the Brewers because you're not even talking like power hitting or anything. It's just can you make contact with that ball in most cases, and Dodgers can do that.
So how do you change your approach if you're Milwaukee? Because something does have to change.
Yeah.
Close games require adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the winning team, you take it, but you can't lose that close too. You especially, I'm not saying that I know what happened, but let's say the bullpen does come in and give up a run or two. It's like there needs to be an adjustment somewhere, or like pinch hitters aren't getting it. Whatever lefty is playing here isn't getting it done. Do you change up how you approach a certain pitcher opposite you? Things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think um you just have to go in. I think the bullpen and the pitching staff, now that they have experience against the hitters, like
Mm-hmm.
they can make the adjustments, right? So you have the 2 starters now that have gone against the rotation, so they can start getting a feel for the tendencies of the hitter, and it's all a reading game, right? Like so, the hitters are trying to figure out what the pitcher's going to do before the pitch happens. The pitcher's trying to do trying to figure out what the hitters are going to do before they throw, right? So now that you at least have the information of pitching for 2 full games among a lot of your pitching staff, you can use that to adapt how you throw to these hitters. And if you're not doing that, there's a problem.
You do need a sample size. I'll agree to that. I mean, you need to see stuff to make adjustments.
Yep. I mean, so I'm really saying, like, now that they have their game today, right?
Yes. Tonight.
And so we'll see what they've done, because Friday, Saturday, their game was back-to-back. You don't really have the time to make the adjustments or even to really think about the adjustments that you're going to make, because everybody's just getting ready for that next game. So even though yesterday was a travel day, they still have the time during the travel to talk it over and see what they could do. So what adjustments can they make is really which team makes the better adjustment. And it's small adjustments at this point, not big ones.
Yeah, I'd say that even the Dodgers need to make a bit of a pitching adjustment. They've not exactly been out of the woods yet either.
Yeah, but it's, again, which team makes the better small adjustment? Because you're not making drastic changes right now.
It's going to be which team flinches first in some of these games, too.
Yep.
I mean, both ALCS and NLCS, very close games so far. So with that being said, I mean, there's not too much more we can analyze on these.
No, I mean, so we're definitely going to Game 5 in both of them, and I really do think, so if you're Houston for these next 3 games, you definitely need to win one early. Like, you can't just win Game 5 and expect to win the series. You have to bring it tomorrow for Houston.
Give yourself a chance to win on your own turf.
Yeah, but you have to get that win early, because if you barely scrape a win out on Game 5, Boston still has all the momentum going back into
exactly
your own turf. Same with Milwaukee here, too.
Well, I'll pose this to you. Is it more important to win Game 3 or Game 4?
I would say win Game 3, because Game 4, even though it's good, right? If you win Game 3, you don't really let the home team. So in this case, it would be Boston. It would be Houston, right? So if you're Boston, right? If Boston win Game 3, it's huge for them, because they don't let Houston establish like their comfort back at their own home, because they're still on the back foot. Now they've just lost a game, right? If you're Houston, you're looking at Game 3, because that establishes the momentum for the rest of the homestand.
See, me personally, the way I think that Game 4 is more important, because a 2-1 lead is nice, but a 2-1 lead followed by a loss, it opens the door for, like, say Boston wins Game 4 and then goes to Fenway for Game 5 and wins Game 5. The momentum there, and then playing in front of your home crowd, the opportunity there is probably more pressure than Game 3. You play with the lead, but you also have the chance to, put yourself in behind, if that makes sense. Like, 2-1 lead, every team in the world will want the 2-1 lead, but if they can't get the 3-1 lead, then you go back, you lose kind of home field for a game, and it's tied. So in a sense, home field advantage turns over.
Yeah, but see, my thing is, right, if you lose Game 3, you don't have the momentum of being home. You still have to establish it.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like, is more important, right? Because if you say, okay, it's fine that you lost game 3, well, Boston now, they can take what they've done at your own home because you don't have a rest day now, again, in between these games, because the MLB does a 2-3-2 configuration of games right now. So you basically handing the away team the momentum after you just split on the team that has home field advantage in both cases.
I guess for me, I'm still sticking with my theory.
Yeah, I mean,
it's to each their own kind of thing.
Yeah, but see, and the other thing is, right, if you come out strong in game 3, you win, right, you're no longer on the pressure of game 4 to pull out that win. And because the pressure just keeps building. You really want to win when you're the loosest, so that doesn't keep adding on you.
Makes sense. I don't see this series not going back and forth. So, in my opinion, it's basically who can string together 2 wins in a row first.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think both of these series are going to go long. We did the predictions at the other episode, right? We said 6 or 7 games for both of them.
Yeah, I do think that the NLCS...
You think what?
The NLCS has the better chance of being a shorter series.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Okay. Just because, the Dodgers have the experience that the Brewers don't have. Whereas both teams in the AL are stacked with guys who have been to a World Series before.
Yeah.
So, all right. Ready to talk hockey?
Yeah.
Work a little bit of your tech magic here.
Yeah, so, let's go.
And the entertainment value to boot, but, I mean, this thing had everything under the sun, from the leadership, from Stanley Cup winning veteran guys in Williams and Jordan Stahl, to the young moments for Svechnikov, Natchez' first point, Warren Fogle continuing to shine.
So, yeah, as you can see on my screen, right, the Hurricanes, they chose to do a really different celebration, I'll say, in which they lined up and then they did kind of that like football celebration after a touchdown where you jump at the stand.
Yeah, kind of a Lambeau leap, except the Lambeau leap didn't have glass, so things a little different. It's a sort of a change of the culture kind of move in Carolina, which is nice. It's a little bit of an interesting move to like just stand at center ice and clap, and then all of a sudden like change it up and go like, okay, now let's go even further, and then it's like now we're gonna bull rush the glass. Yeah, as if the last 60 minutes of physical contact weren't enough.
I mean, I don't have a problem with their celebration.
I don't have a problem with it either, as long as they do it smart. If a goaltender jumps into the glass, there could be a problem. A goaltender isn't supposed to take hits like that.
Yeah, but they're also
hits at all.
But they're not like being seriously hard on the glass. If you saw them, they literally just went up and tapped the glass and came back down.
Hey, you never know. A 15-game win streak could result in some serious body hitting to the glass.
All right.
Hey, don't demean this. You know it's true. Your over-under for injured people on this kind of maneuver you said was 2.
Yeah, and yours is 7?
I mean, 7's a lucky number. I mean, not so much lucky in this case, but I'm sticking with it.
All right.
You gotta go with your gut, man.
All right, man.
I mean, look, you're right. It's not the most dangerous hitting in the world because we got news on suspensions and stuff for that. So let's get to that.
Well, yeah, let's so we'll talk about the other thing I have a video for. So basically, if you should be able to see. Hold on. Now you're able to see. So basically, if I go back to the video, Elias Pettersson, if you looked in the top right corner, was just thrown to the ice. They'll show it in a slow-mo in a second. But, yeah, as
and
you
not
can see...
figuratively speaking, legitimately thrown to the ice.
Yeah, and you can see the ref right here. He's just right next to Pettersson, and he can't get up. Right? He finally gets up, and
he's got to be helped.
Yeah, so they're going through the replay. He just dekes the guy like it's nobody's business, and Matheson from Florida takes offense. So stick right up and then tosses him straight to the ground. And this guy is only like 155, 160 pounds. And
so what the big problem to me is, like, it takes a certain level of commitment because Patterson goes behind the net making a play, whereas Matheson goes around the goal mouth and basically charges right at. So he's got not a lateral way of moving and hitting, but he's basically put himself in a position to go straight for him and charge him into the boards.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's not like Patterson wasn't defenseless before that, but really defenseless at that point.
So the bigger thing with what was just shown is the fact that the initial hit is okay because Pettersson had the puck and he was playing it. He's allowed to be contacted. That's okay. The problem is then using the rest of your momentum and slamming him straight down on the ice.
But I will ask you this. Is it borderline boarding too?
No. The hit is completely okay because he's playing the puck along the boards, and boarding is really only when you charge them too fast, and you
so
can't argue.
Follow through.
Yeah. You can't argue that was boarding at all. That was a completely okay hockey hit that turned into something bad. And so if you didn't notice on the video, there was no penalty called on that play. So the Department of Player Safety took it in their own hands, and today they issued him a 2-game suspension for what they say is roughing and unsportsmanlike conduct.
And will this be appealed down to?
It should.
You'd have to think that it might, though.
It shouldn't.
I mean,
if I was Matheson, I'd take the 2 games and not because the arbitrator can be like, you're dumb and increase the suspension if he wants. There's nothing anybody can do about that either.
But is he a first-time offender?
Yeah.
Then it kind of plays to his hand in a sense too.
Yeah, but he'd have to submit the appeal.
First-time offender could get something like swept under the rug.
Yeah, but he'd have to submit the appeal today, right? Because I think they play tomorrow.
Okay, I mean, if he appeals and they give him nothing, then it really is 1-game suspension.
Yeah,
but like it's still a reduction.
But no. I mean, if you have to submit the appeal today so that you can play tomorrow.
Okay,
is the thing, right? But I feel like 2 games is fair. I was thinking it'd be 1 or 2 games. Because he's not a repeat offender, so this is the first time he's done anything, and the initial hit was completely okay, like I was saying, right? The only problem was like WWE smashing him to the ice.
Yeah.
So
and basically taking him off the ground.
Well, so the hit initially, just how everything played out, he was already off the ground and he was gonna fall. So there's nothing you can do about that. It's the way that Matheson used his momentum, his body to generate momentum to harm Pettersson. Like, there was clear intent to harm with how he was moving his body. So that's why I definitely thought it was suspension worthy, like one game. If they went above 2 games, that would have been way too much for a first time. On as much as maybe Vancouver fans would argue, but like I I agree with the NHL, and they put out a good video analyzing and explaining it. It's just NHL's website is too hard to navigate, so I didn't want to show it.
All right. Anti-NHL Sean over here.
Website, not NHL.
Well, maybe they should hire you to code it. You're looking for a new position, right?
I don't know about that one.
Fine. You can be director of player safety.
I don't know about that one either.
You can be the dude that suspends Tom Wilson for the right amount of games, and the right amount of times to put him in court.
I mean, I don't know if that I don't know if you can suspend him for more than 20 games with how they suspended him previously.
Well, he should have been suspended prior to the 20 games.
But there's nothing I would be able to control about that one either.
You mean the statute of limitations is out of your reach? Commissioner.
So yeah, anyway, let's get on to the rest of hockey, right? So
when are you going to throw Vontez Perfect out of the league? When are you going to throw Bengals linebacker out of the NHL?
Man. Anyway.
Not salty.
Anyway, so yeah, what's going on in the rest of hockey that aren't suspension talks, right? So we got the Devils at 3-0, the last undefeated team in the NHL, but they are also one of 4
With
teams.
An asterisk.
They're also one of 4 teams still have only played 3 games. The other 3 are Edmonton, Florida, and Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Toronto, who scored your stats says
29 goals.
Huh?
They've scored 29 goals going into tonight.
Yeah, and they've already scored 3 goals tonight, at least.
So they have 32.
Yeah, and that's
I'm not doing the math on the other teams in my.
Yeah, anyway, that's the most any team has scored so far. Mm-hmm. They also have the most games at 6, not including tonight. The others are Carolina, Vegas, Anaheim, and San Jose.
Okay.
Then the other things I have is Edmonton is a one-man show. McDavid has 5 points. Edmonton has 5 goals. There's all your points.
So he's legitimately contributed on every goal.
He has 100% point contribution to Edmonton. 5 games.
Do they have a win yet?
Yeah, they barely beat the Rangers on Sunday.
David barely beat the Rangers.
Or Saturday.
It's the Edmonton McDavids.
Basically. How much is he regretting signing that damn long contract? We don't know.
I mean, we'll find out in a year or 2.
Yep.
We don't know how patient Connor McDavid is.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have to wait long to be drafted. Didn't have to wait long to make it to the NHL.
Yep.
We don't know what his patience is like.
Yeah. And the last pretty big note is Vegas won their second game. This one against Philly, but it was only 1-0. So their scoring
against Philly
that we talked about last episode is still a problem.
But the goaltending is great.
Oh,
well,
Fleury was
it was
lights out.
Yeah, the flower.
The flower. You know a lot about flower.
Oh yeah, I'm a flower boy.
Yeah. So I mean, it's great that Fleury performed, but you have to generate more offense for the guy. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely, especially with the options that they have on the forwards and the wings.
Yeah.
I mean they're running the same really, but.
Yeah, so
you just gotta get more pucks on goal. You gotta give yourself chances, rebounds. Put a guy in front of the net, something instead of the screen.
Yep.
Vegas is playing the odds too much. Like, no pun intended, but they really are.
I mean, it's just a thing, right? Because Fleury can stand on his head all he he wants, but there's going to be the team of heavy hitters that gets past him 2, maybe 3, even when he's standing on his head. And if you can't generate the offense when he's doing acrobatic things, then when are you going to generate the offense?
But the thing is, you know, rebound chances are as good as a shot from the blue line, as good as a power play goal. They all register one goal. So get the puck in the net any way you can. It doesn't have to look fancy all the time. But this is the regular season where fancy works. In the playoffs, it doesn't work that much. So I guess if you're going to fool around with it that way, then
yeah. But I mean, it's just saying that, like, this is the time when everybody scores, and that's when we start to know, like, hey, this guy's got into his groove. Like, because I'll take a Devils example, right? Even though Hull hasn't scored, he has some pretty nifty assists.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see him getting into his groove, and those assists are definitely contributing to it. And so if nobody's putting the puck in Vegas, how are they going to get into their groove? And because you
can't lean on a goaltender too much.
But also, like, goaltending is going to get tougher, and less penalties are going to be drawn, and all these things. So scoring chances are going to go down as the season continues. So if you can't generate it now, when are you going to start as everything gets tougher?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I'll say this, Vegas seemingly has the goaltending thing more figured out than the rest of it. They seem to be running on the opposite clicks of the rest of the league, where goals are being scored. Vegas is stopping them. Not to an amazing extent. They've had some losses where they've given up some goals, but they're showing more potential on that side of the puck than they are on offense.
Yeah, and just to, like, I mean, I think I have nothing more to say about Vegas. Yeah. So just to round out the NHL, though, like, we're just I put up the offensive leaders, right? And Toronto has 3 people in the top 5 with Matthews, just in points, right? Matthews had 14 before today. Morgan Riley had 13 before today. I don't know if he scored or not. And Tavares had 10 before today. Like,
jeez,
their goaltending has been a little spotty, and Frederik Andersen's hurt, so they called up an emergency goalie. But they support their goaltender by scoring a lot, and they have a lot of threats, though, right? They're not like
absolutely.
They're not like Edmonton with a one-man show, but everybody's
in fact,
rolling.
The opposite.
Yeah, everybody's rolling. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we legitimately go from a team that's got only one player, doing it all, to a whole team doing it together, just in front of a goaltending issue. But you'd rather have the latter than.
You'd rather have the latter? You're talking about the.
You'd rather have the Leafs.
Yeah.
Build up in what they've done so far instead of Edmonton, and just hope that Edmonton figures it out.
Yeah.
I like the small sample size to show me what the potential is instead of just wondering.
Mm-hmm.
All
right. So that basically wraps up NHL, as the season has barely gotten underway.
They got to level out the games played by each team thing.
Yeah, but I feel like
be this widespread.
Yeah, and I feel like we'll start to see everybody drop into their expected spots in about another 7-8 games or so.
It's about 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So watch hockey. Basketball doesn't start till Wednesday. Plenty of time to watch
basketball
hockey.
Starts tomorrow.
Shut up, Sean. I said what I said.
All right, whatever.
And to Mr. and Mrs. Menon, if they may somehow be watching, just joking. I don't tell your son to shut up that much. He's a very nice young man, I think.
All right. Anyway, to the
I've
other.
only known him for 20-some years.
Yeah. To the other major sport, though, right? NFL. You want to kick it off?
Literally.
Literally. That's why I said it.
I got it. Laces out, right? We're
Yep.
kicking it off. All right. So basically, it's like this. Unfortunately, if you're a Patriots hater, like 90-some% of the world, well, they're back. Unfortunately, they're back. I was really hoping that the Chiefs would just go into Foxborough and beat them, and then I'd hope that the Chiefs lose enough games to not have like a AFC Championship game in Kansas City in front of those barbecue-headed, fans. But it looks. I mean, Kansas City has the better record right now, but let's be real. New England is back, and New England will have the championship game hosting by the time the season is said and done.
They just outclassed Kansas City in that game.
Yeah,
completely.
Yeah.
There was
not that their defense did much, but
they don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, what a game that was. Kansas City looked like... I'll say this about Kansas City. They looked like they were out of that game like 4 or 5 times. They were down like 24-9 early in the second. And just all of a sudden you looked up at the screen and they were coming back. You looked up again. They were winning. And then New England did their typical crap where, they go down the field and score. And then Kansas City would take another stab at it. And Kansas City, while New England was doing all the scoring, Kansas City was still punting when they needed to. They didn't go for it on 4th down a lot. And they still managed to come back. They had the lead with 3 minutes left.
Yep.
So I think it's worth noting this is what Kansas City does and is capable of doing. And they'd win every other game if it wasn't against a team like New England. Just playing to the style that they did.
Yeah.
It's hard to put up 40 points and be disappointed in your effort. And the fact of the matter is, you going into New England and playing them there Sunday night, it's like one of the hardest things to do in professional sports is to go into New England in primetime and win. It just doesn't happen. So the fact that they almost made it happen, very impressive. I know that they were 5-0, but still very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but it just, you could see, I mean, sure, the Chiefs did keep the game interesting, but they never got to a point where I was like, at least me personally, was like, wow, they definitely could win this.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching the game, I was like, wow, they're coming, they're putting up a fight a little bit, but then New England would just respond, and there was nothing that Kansas City could do about it.
Yeah, they weren't stopping any momentum from taking place, which is a very hard look to overcome.
Yeah.
You got to have a 3 and out somewhere, even stop before they're in field goal range, just to show that you can do it. And they just kept letting New England walk down the field.
Yep.
So let's see, what else do we have here? I do want to be biased a little bit. I want to talk about James Conner, running back for the Steelers. The dude is silently going off. He's got 2 touchdowns in 3 of his first 6 games as a starter in the NFL. So it's pretty good. I think at least 3 of those games at least 3 of those games for sure he's at over. He's been catching the ball out of the backfield too. Just breaks through tackles. So I just wanted to shout out the dude. Le'Veon Bell, I think we can afford to get rid of him now because Stephen Ridley, the other back on the roster, looks pretty good for a backup too.
Yeah, but so I understand where you're coming from. You're a huge Pitt fan, but how do you give up that much of a star running back? Like, are you saying get rid of him and just trade him?
Yeah.
But how do you market some guy who's holding out because he doesn't have a contract?
Well, there's a certain appeal to if they can trade him to a team that can sign him to a long-term deal, because he's going to end up going there anyway. He's going to go to a team. I mean, the Colts aren't going to trade for him now, but a team like the Colts can.
Yeah.
But it'll be a playoff push team for sure.
Okay.
But, like, there's been rumors about the Eagles. There were even rumors of Redskins wanting to trade for him. That was today, or yesterday or today. The Redskins might want him.
Okay, but how much
It's an interesting scenario. I don't exactly understand how, but like if you're a Steelers fan, you can get anything in return for him at this point. You take it because he's going to walk at the end of this year, regardless of if he plays or not. Like he can sign the tender and just like we still roll with Connor.
Okay.
And what they're talking about, the rumor is, since he hasn't signed a franchise tag yet, is when he shows up, and rumor is it might be like this week, but the Steelers, they've released statements. They haven't heard anything from Bell about when he's showing up, but they may do something called an exemption where they're going to try to pay him like even less for 2 weeks to like get him back into shape, where they don't play him for 2 weeks. And then they make him sign the franchise tag. So he gets paid less, and that has to be negotiated between the team and Bell on what that negotiated amount is. But if they can't agree on a deal for that, Bell might just hold out even longer. So if you're Bell, there's no real reason to come back. So what you're saying makes sense. Yeah. I just want to keep rolling with Connor.
Okay, but my other thing is, Connor's the local guy, but how long is he going to stay there? I mean, you think he's going to take a hometown discount?
Yes.
But how can you be sure? And how much is left on his current contract?
Well, he's only in his second year.
Yeah. So is it entry level? ELC?
Entry level, and there's, I think, 2 years of team options in there? So isn't it like 4 years and then 2 years team option?
I thought it was 3 years, and I didn't think there were team options.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't know how the NFL entry level works.
I know that the Steelers linebackers have contracts that were team options when they were drafted. Like Bud Dupree,
but I mean,
one of the linebackers has been on team options for like the past 3 years.
Yeah, so I mean that's negotiated though. I don't think it's normal for an ELC.
I mean, Bud Dupree didn't sign a new deal. He's still on his first contract.
His ELC. So he still had to sign the ELC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my thing is, if you can get Bell to just hold out for the year, you probably get more for him. There's a lot more appeal of being able to trade him in the offseason if you know that he's not going to re-sign. So if you're the Steelers, I'd say maybe even just try to get him to stay out for the whole year. Then you can trade him instead of like for a third-round pick and a player, for a second-round pick and a player. Teams are probably more likely to trade that kind of package for a guy that they're going to get full year out of. And if I say, hey, we're going to trade Bell to you in the offseason, you guys get cracks at negotiating a long-term deal with him. Something that the Steelers have been they tried to do for 3 years, and it's not going to get done.
Okay, so but the thing is, right? You get rid of Bell, and you have the two guys, right? Connor and I forget the other guy.
They have Ridley, and they have a dude who's not on the active roster now that they drafted out of NC State, who they really like, Jalen Samuels. So those three, like they really like Jalen Samuels.
But then, so you get rid of Bell, who's a real big threat, in my opinion, right? How do you cover for? I mean, how have you been covering for him not being there as a team?
I mean, look, we still are running back that can catch the ball, just doesn't line up on the line of scrimmage as much. So, I mean, maybe the play calling changes a little bit, but given the fact that they also drafted a wide receiver in the second or third round this year, they don't need to put a running back on the line of scrimmage. They have plenty of receivers that they can do with that.
Okay.
I just don't. Plus, they're rocking with Jesse James and Vance McDonald at tight ends, so they don't lose a lot in the blocking game either. So, in today's NFL, a lot of teams don't even have a fullback. They'll just put a tight end back there. So they have options. It's not too far in terms of how the Pittsburgh Steelers used to run play calling in early Ben years to because Ben didn't always have a Bell type. Before that, the play calling was a lot like what they're doing with Connor now, except now the passing game is still a little more complex because Ben's older and has seen it all.
Okay.
So I don't think there's much of a drop off as long as you can get consistency out of the game.
Okay, fair enough.
And I don't see that there's evidence to say that there hasn't been that consistency yet. I mean, it's still early, but 3 of your first 6 games, you've run for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty solid. It's a pretty solid benchmark.
Sure. So, I mean, okay, aside from Pittsburgh, is there any other team you want to talk about?
I would love to. The Chargers are a team that are silently killing the season. They're doing real good. I know that they played the Browns this year, but it's a decent Browns team.
So they lost to the Browns, right?
No, they blew the doors off the Browns.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay.
It was 34-6 or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I could be wrong on the score, but it was a wide margin victory. The Chargers are legit.
Okay.
They were a team that just grew, but a team that really sucks and probably needs to call it a year is the Bills. As much as I love Connor for being a Steelers player who went to Pitt, Nathan Peterman, who was the quarterback when Connor was at Pitt, he looked a lot better in college. The dude only throws interceptions in the NFL, and he never did it in college. I get that the level of competition is more fierce and competitive, but jeez, he sucks. The Dolphins, they won with Brock Osweiler, so that needs to go noticed because they beat the Bears.
Yeah, but I don't think Osweiler is bad. I don't think he's great or good. He's just not bad.
I think he's a middle-tier backup quarterback.
Yeah, sure.
I would not put him as a bottom-tier starter type.
I don't know.
The Raiders suck.
Yeah.
The Raiders suck. They should have stayed in Oakland. They really... Yep. The Bengals did their bungling against the Steelers, as they do. The Ravens had 11 sacks against the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
But the Titans don't exactly have a bad offensive line. That's what's really scary.
Yeah, but what's really weird is that, I mean, the AFC, at least the North and South, are really tight. Still, AFC South is now 3 teams tied at 3-3, right?
Yeah, what's wrong with the Jaguars, bud?
Dude, I have no idea.
They fell off hard. They got obliterated by the Cowboys. But then
you have the North, which is 2 teams at 4-2, 1 at 3-2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Really close. So, these teams are... This is setting up to be pretty good down the stretch.
Yeah, especially if the Colts can get back into it.
We'll see about that one. I don't have any hope.
But they've only lost 4 games in a row. They still go 11-5.
They'd have to win 10 games in a row.
No, you just gotta take the standings where they're at now and in front of the other one. And this is 11-5.
Oh my god.
Best team in the AFC South.
So you want to talk?
Andrew Luck, what?
Yeah, so I mean, you want to talk about NFC?
I would love to do it.
They have the last remaining undefeated team in football.
Yep, the Cardinals.
The
I'm sorry,
Rams.
someone in the same division as the Cardinals. My apologies.
The Rams, the same division, but pretty different.
Semantics. It's the same thing. Yeah. So the Rams look really good.
Yeah, they do.
Need nothing else be said. They just have it all.
Yeah, like nobody else. And the other thing is,
things that me personally, I was looking at before the season. I was thinking all these characters on this team, it'll probably blow up,
implode later.
Well, no, I thought it would just implode in general, like it has for so many quote unquote super teams before, like the Eagles when they had Vic, McNabb, Vince Young, like all those star dudes. Like, you know, we've seen the plot before, and it always ended in disaster. So for it to work, it's really impressive the kind of control they have in the locker room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also for the Rams, right? They have like no competition in their own division.
Yeah,
like, seriously.
I mean the Seahawks are somehow 3-3. I don't know how, but they're like coming back from the dead.
Didn't they? They've played both of their lower teams in the standings already, right?
Yeah, but they started out 0-2.
Yeah, but they're not Cardinals level bad or anything like that.
No, they're not. I mean, they will be soon because, you know, they're still on the way down.
Yeah.
They have a chance at like a wild card, but that's just because the NFC is so bad in terms of options for the wild card.
Yeah. And I mean, so
go ahead.
The only other notable thing is the only division that's fairly close in the NFC is the North.
Yeah.
With the Bears and Vikings, well, the Bears had the bye week, right?
No, they lost to the Dolphins.
They've only played 5 games though, so they had the bye week the week previous.
Yeah, they did have a bye week at some point. I'll attest to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, they're 3-2, right? Vikings are 3-2-1, and the Packers are playing right now. They're actually down midway through the third quarter, 27-23,
to the San Francisco 49ers.
But they're 2-2-1 right now, so this division is really close.
It is. And you never know. There's always that Packer magic thing that can always come back around.
Happens in the last half of the season, does it?
Yeah. Happens in about the last 6 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Right around week 12, you hear like they'd need a tiebreaker. And when you hear those words from an ESPN reporter, it's go time. Like they just know. It's like they're under somebody's mind control, and then they hear the word tiebreaker, and then now they just start clicking. The NFC East still a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it.
But the Cowboys, it's worth noting the Cowboys put up 40 points on the Jaguars defense.
Mm-hmm.
So are the Cowboys the number 1 team in the NFC East? I don't want it to be true, but like, I mean, it's rough. It's hard to believe in the Redskins.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But we'll find out. I think Cowboys-Redskins comes this weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
And is it time for the Giants to just shut down Saquon Barkley for the season? Don't let him get hurt and like hope that you get a quarterback next year.
But okay, I mean, you're still trying to make money. How do you make money by having Saquon Barkley play?
Oh, come on. Just put up like a UFC style poster up of Odell Beckham Jr. fighting like an inanimate object every week. Like this week,
right.
He fights the Microsoft Surface. Next week he fights a pencil sharpener. Who will win? Tune in. Come to the Meadowlands.
Oh my god.
You got Sterling Shepard versus the trash can. Like, why not the recycle? What's wrong with the recycling can? Is it 2 blue for Big Blue?
All right.
I want answers.
I have none of them.
We could start a company based off this business model. Watch a Giants receiver fight something.
Oh my god.
Let's rake it in pay-per-view. We could make thousands of pennies on this.
Oh boy.
Hey, now that we have the streaming thing figured out, now we just need the content.
This isn't content?
No, I mean the fighting content.
Oh. Ah.
Yeah, we just need a camera on OBJ at all times.
I mean,
one of our friends do we know that we could just have OBJ walking out of the practice facility and just threaten him 1,800 times and just see if he retaliates?
I don't know.
Although I guess those people wouldn't be our friends if we forced them to.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Darn it. We're really at an impasse here. This business might not take off.
I mean,
well, fill out your W-4s.
I mean, so I have nothing else relevant to football.
I don't either. It's bye-week blues for me. It's that 1 week in the year. No football will be on. I'll just feel like something is missing because the Steelers have the bye week this coming weekend. So,
fair enough.
Pray for Steeler Nation as we endure this 1 week without football, sitting around twiddling our thumbs because we probably won't know what to do with ourselves. I guess we'll hope that the Patriots lose and then be disappointed with it, but I'm not really sure what else there is for us to do, Sean.
You're literally just setting yourself up to be disappointed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Watching any Patriots fan or any Patriots game, I'm setting myself up for that.
All right,
That's why you watch them in September.
All right, well, I've got nothing else, so.
Yeah. So, streaming episode number 1, overall episode 19. We are killing it. We're tech savvy. And we're doing this on the low end of the expense chain. Shout out to Sean. Got a new job. Absolutely phenomenal work. He's going to change how IT goes down in New York City. So if you live in New York City, hit up Menon. He'll hack your computer for a
what?
fee.
Oh my
or maybe not. Maybe not because he needs the job security. But hey, I don't know. Do you want to work on a commission here? Do you want to pitch this ad?
No.
Okay. No, never mind. I'm retracting our advertisement. The only advertisement we've ever had. I'm retracting it.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Thanks for watching,
watching, listening, something.
Yeah. Thanks
for tuning in no matter what.